You're watching Matsu News with Stephen Scott and Rachel Evans with the weather.
Man-made property in Palmer is still up in the air with Palmer City Council. The Palmer City Council has decided to hold off on making a purchase of the land in downtown Palmer. The council wants to come up with a vision first on what the property could be used for. Palmer City Council has been in the process of acquiring the land for 2 years now, after winning approval on a ballot to use $3 million in funds to purchase land in 2010. For now, the man-made property has been put on the back burner. Homeowner captures burglar, holds him till troopers arrive. Alaska State Troopers reported a homeowner returned home to find a burglar in his home at 10:42 a.m. on Allison Court, on the Springer Loop system close to the Matanuska River. Troopers say the burglar, James Sweeney, 26 of Palmer, ran from the home with $2,000 worth of the homeowner's belongings after the homeowner confronted him. Trying to flee, Sweeney did not get far and was captured by the homeowner and held until troopers arrived. The homeowner only had minor injuries after the altercation. Sweeney is being held at the Matsu pretrial on charges of robbery, burglary, hindering prosecution, and violating the conditions of his release on another burglary and theft charge. Sweeney is awaiting trial. Bail has been set at $30,000. Man arrested and charged in Palmer for distributing child pornography. Nicholas Morike, 31, was arrested at a downtown Palmer hotel January 4th and charged with distributing child pornography. Assistant District Attorney Trina Sears lays out the events leading up to Morike's arrest. According to Sears, a pair of Alaska State Trooper investigators in Anchorage were searching the Aries file sharing network as part of a proactive investigation for child pornography. On September 14, 2012, they found one they could tell was using Matanuska Telephone Association as an internet provider, and from which they were able to download a total of 5 complete and 4 partial video and image files. The court documentation says the pictures and videos depicted underage boys being sexually abused by older men. A warrant gave troopers access to MTA's records, tracking the computer's IP address, pointed them to an apartment on Cottonwood Avenue. Next, they obtained a warrant for the apartment, which they served December 12th, seizing computers, hard drives, mobile phones, and portable storage devices. The examination revealed evidence of over 400 notable images that met the statutory definition of sexually exploited children. Investigators found 4 of the files they'd obtained from the computer on the Aries servers and were able to determine they were the same files. Alaska State Troopers interviewed Morike December 27th. Morike stated that many of the items seized during the search warrant belonged to his girlfriend. He did admit to having images of child pornography on his computers. However, Morike claimed he downloaded child pornography images from a Russian website. His bail was set at $35,000, and he was booked into the Matsu pretrial facility. Jail records state Thursday afternoon showed he was still in the pretrial facility. The Boomtown Derby Dames share with Matsu News about roller derby and the bout coming up against the Denali Destroyer Dolls, also a history of the sport. If you didn't already know, roller derby is in the Matsu Valley. I had an opportunity to spend a practice and scrimmage with the Boomtown Derby Dames. They are just one of the roller derby teams right here in the valley. I went over to Palmer on a Sunday night to the Borough Gym to get a first-hand look at the Boomtown Derby Dames. I interviewed a few of these amazing women and learned more about a sport on roller skates reborn from the 70s and is now again rising to popularity. I asked Boomtown Derby Dames team members questions like, how do you score?
How do you score? You score by your jammer. And the jammer's team's object is to get the other team out of the way and get our jammer through while we're blocking their jammer. Our jammer goes through and passes, and that's where she scores her points.
What do you get out of roller derby?
I love the sisterhood for one. I've lost 30 pounds in a year doing derby. It's great exercise. It's a fantastic sport. I love the sport. It's a physical sport, so you definitely can't be a little bit of a pansy, so to speak, to play it. You can't have thin skin. I love my derby girls. I love my team. Like I said, the sisterhood is I think probably the best part of it, because your derby girls, you have to trust them. You know you can trust them, and there's a lot to be said for that.
For you?
For me, I mean, it was an exercise type of situation that I don't get bored with, I don't get tired of, and it's a great group of women. It's hard to make friends as an adult, and I joined this group and I feel like I got instant family.
Tell us more about roller derby.
And I think that everybody should, if they're interested at all, should come out and give it a shot, because it's not as brutal as what you've seen on TV. You know, we're not like WWE on skates or anything. It is definitely a tough sport. But I know I've talked to a lot of girls who've been like, oh, that looks like so much fun, but I'm scared I'm going to get hurt, I'm scared of this or that. And I think until you come out here and really see what you can do, you don't know.
What other roles need to be filled in roller derby?
We also have spots for people off skates, NFOs, refs, medics. All sorts of positions are available, or just volunteering to help out the team.
A definition of roller derby and history from Wikipedia. The history of roller derby traces the evolution of roller skating races into a unique sport which has undergone several boom and bust cycles throughout most of the 20th century. Although it was a form of sports entertainment for much of its existence, a grassroots early 21st century revival spearheaded by women has restored an emphasis on athleticism. Roller skating events go as far back as the late 1800s. In August 1935, Leo Seltzer organized the Transcontinental Roller Derby, an event more than a month long. Staged at the Chicago Coliseum, it was a simulation of a cross-country roller skating race in which 25 two-person, male-female teams circled a wooden oval bank track thousands of miles, skating 11.5 hours a day to cover 3,000 miles, the distance between Los Angeles and New York City. By 1939, there were 4 pairs of teams touring the country at the same time, always billed as the home team versus either New York or Chicago. The new format of 2 5-person teams on the track at the same time, with a team scoring points when its members lap members of the other team. It is the basic premise of roller derby to this day. Roller derby was aired on radio as early as 1939. At 8:30 p.m. on November 29, 1948, roller derby debuted on New York television, beginning a 13-week run on the CBS TV network, broadcasting at a time well before television was in widespread use. The first televised matches were between teams representing New York and Brooklyn, and took place at the 69th Regiment Armory, 4 nights a week, which was actually a reduction from the troop's usual touring schedule that included a performance every day, sometimes with 2 on Sundays. Early stars of roller derby after its debut on TV included Ken Monty, Burt Wall, and the temperamental Midge Tuffy Brosson. Skater salaries were about $200 to $260 a week, established by Players Association. Roller derby has even made it to the big screen with Raquel Welch in the 1972 film Kansas City Bomber. Also Whip It, 2009 film, directed by Drew Barrymore, starring Drew Barrymore and Ellen Page. In 1950, the National Roller Derby League was formed, the NRDL. The NRDL consisted of 6 teams: the New York Chiefs, the Brooklyn Red Devils, the Jersey Jolters, the Philadelphia Panthers, the Washington Baltimore Jets, and the Chicago Westerners. The Jolters played at armories in Newark, Jersey City, Teaneck, and Patterson. The Westerners played in Chicago, but also in Columbus, Ohio, and Miami, Florida. The Red Devils had no venue in Brooklyn and were essentially a road team, often cast as villains. NRDL season playoffs sold out Madison Square Garden for a week. Roller derby started losing its popularity over the 60s. Television had dropped the contract to broadcast roller derby over conflicts of interest and sponsorships and refused to broadcast the derby any longer. The derby made a comeback in the 70s and again in the 80s to today. Roller derby is now being considered for the next Summer Olympics. Getting back to the Boomtown Derby Dames, we had more questions for them on sportswomanship and the upcoming bout with the Denali Stroyer Dolls on January 12th, and a few words with, as they say, the fresh meat of the team.
Other teams when you guys have bouts against each other?
We're still a fairly new team, so this one on Saturday will be our first official bout. But we get along real well with the other teams. Rage City has been great, having us out for Halloween bouts and scrimmages and stuff. The Triple D girls, I know we merged for the Halloween bout, and that was a blast. We had a great time with them. So it's a big family, the Derby community, because it's such a smaller known sport, I guess.
What does it take to be a Derby Dame?
It's a lot of heart. It's a lifestyle. It really is, because it takes a huge amount of time and commitment. We practice 3 times a week, 2 hours every practice, as well as we're completely run by ourselves. So we got meetings we've got our board of directors and sponsorship committees, and so you got to definitely be willing to put in the time, practice-wise and off skates, to do it.
I've noticed in roller derby there's a lot of really good sportswomanship.
Yes, there is.
And I don't see a lot of the animosity that you might see in football or anything like that.
I think one of the reasons you don't see a lot of that here is because we are small here. So the sportsman's-like attitude serves us all well, because we're all going to have to play each other eventually. I think there's only maybe anywhere from 13 to 15 teams in the state. So who wants to make bad blood with another team? Be sportsmanlike. That's why we're out there, is to play the sport. That's pretty much the bottom line.
Now, what can you say to new people that want to join?
It's a fantastic way to spend any spare time that you have. You make great friends. It definitely is a serious time commitment, but it is fun. It's something to look forward to. You stay active, you stay in good shape. You got tons of friends. It's just, there's so many good things about it. I can't say anything bad about Derby.
Now, are you looking forward to the bout on the 12th with the Denali Destroyer Dolls?
I've been looking forward to that for a long time. Yes, we are.
This is your first bout?
My first official bout. I've played in scrimmages against Rage City and stuff before. And we played a scrimmage down in Soldotna with, I think it was the Far North Derby Dolls, Triple D, and us, to raise money against domestic violence.
And that's another thing. You're involved in a lot of charities. You do a lot of
events. Yeah, we do. We've done a lot of them. We Matsu Salute. We did the blood drive for children with heart disease. The polar plunge, which we raised, I think, $1,250 on that. We did running of the reindeer. That was an absolute blast. And what else did we do? We're going to do the polar plunge again this year. We helped the firefighters for the Fill the Boot MDA at Fred Meyer's here in Wasilla.
How do you feel about the bout coming up? How confident do you feel about going up against the Denali Destroyer Dolls?
Trick question. I'd hate to jinx myself, but we're really, really excited. It's our first bout. We feel really confident in our girls and in our skills, and we'll just see who comes out on top.
Speaking of fresh meat, let's meet the new teammates.
Fresh meat since November, so our 8 weeks is almost up. It's 8 weeks, and then you have assessments, and then you move up to rookie.
So there's like a training program that you go through before you assess.
We're at the end of that. After the bout on Saturday, we'll take our assessments.
How old do you have to be?
21.
21.
And are you looking forward to everything that's coming up?
Yeah, yes, very much so.
What are you getting out of the Derby?
Exercise, getting involved in the community, and just it's kind of like a sisterhood. I usually don't have a lot of girlfriends, and these are all really cool girls. And we have a lot in common that way.
I am getting me time. I was home for 9 years with 2 children. I've gone back to work, and I needed to get involved in a sisterhood, and this is it. And it's time for me to get away for a couple days a week and skate with these wonderful ladies.
How does your family feel about this?
They're very supportive, very excited. In fact, my daughter does junior derby now, and she's 9. So.
Oh, wow. And what's her Derby name?
Her Derby name is Halo Kitty.
I have a poodle. He usually doesn't care too much, but he misses me all the time, no matter what I do.
So how does your immediate family feel about you being in the Derby?
Actually, my parents were both kind of scared at first because they just remember Derby from the 70s. and it was, you know, there weren't a lot of rules. It was a lot of show. It was a lot of acting. It was kind of scripted, like wrestling. So this isn't as dangerous. There's all these rules you have to follow.